Good afternoon, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So, in whatever part of the world you all are located, a very warm welcome to all of you. So, myself, Dr. Renu Mishra, on behalf of the entire team of Research Graduate, I extend my heartily welcome to all of you, to one and all. And I expect that whatever topics which we have decided or which we are planning to, we're able to uplift your level of understanding and level of knowledge on the same. So, before I begin, I would like to just tell you a couple of things. That is that you all will be getting the PPTs for the webinar. You all will be getting the recording for the same, and also the certificates will be delivered to you on your registered email ID. One thing to just to bring in your kind notice, that is just in case you all are, any one of you is experiencing any doubt or any glitches in PPTs or the font size of PPTs, just do not get panic, and just take it easy. And if you increase the video quality of YouTube, I hope it will help. Just in case, even if not, so just do not get tense or panic, something like that, because in any which ways you will be getting the recording and the PPTs by the end of this webinar. So during the session, it's important for you all to listen. All right. So I think that would be more important here. All right. So now I'll be beginning up with this webinar. So the title for today's webinar is Research Paper Publication. Okay. Now, before I move ahead to the content of this webinar, before I move ahead with the actual topic of this webinar, let me just tell you about the Research Graduate. So, see, Research Graduate is one of the class apart company which is dealing with the research consulting for the scholars, for the academicians. So, when it comes to the services which are being extended by Research Graduate, we deal into be it your topic selection, if in case you're having any concern, any doubt you're having in finalizing your topic, you are in a process of writing any paper or something like that, you may go ahead with taking your services with the Research Graduate. If you wish to have any support in your statistical analysis, you may go ahead with that too. In which let's say you want to have any editing or proofreading services, you may contact Research Graduate for that too. You might notice that my went off, maybe because of technical glitch at my end. Okay. So this is about Research Graduate, and all the kind of services which are listed in front of you, we are there to help you out. Okay. And very warm good afternoon to each and everyone. Good evening to each and everyone. And thank you once again for joining. And a little bit about myself. Myself, Dr. Renu Mishra, and I am academician, management academician, trainer, and researcher. I'm currently based in Dubai, and I'm teaching management modules to graduate, undergraduate, and the doctoral candidates in Dubai. And I'm associated with Research Graduate. Along with that, I'm taking a couple of assignments also in India. All right. So moving ahead, the contact details which you can see, like just in case any one of you would like to get in touch with the Research Graduate, you may please do so by the mentioned email ID on the screen. And also there is a WhatsApp number for all of your support. You can also check about Research Graduate on the website which is mentioned there. All right, so with this note, let me just tell you about the structure of this webinar. Roughly around 90 minutes or so, we conduct this webinar. And in between, if you have any questions, generally we have dedicated the questions for around 30 minutes after the webinar. Just in case you have anything in between, you may free to type in chat. I will try my level best to take, during this webinar itself. And as I already told you, that your PPTs, your recordings, and your certificates will be delivered to you on your registered email ID. So make sure that your email ID with which you have registered with the Research Graduate webinar is correct one. Okay. So with this note, I will appreciate your attention, and let's begin with the webinar. So, the topic for today is your research paper publication, and I'm really happy to see some of the known names. I can't say the known faces. I'd say that known names are there, and very thank you so much for all those who are attending regularly our webinars, and thank you so much for the those who are new to this. All right, we are sure that you will understand, or you will get your learnings developed as per your expectations. All right. Okay. So before I begin, I have a question to Mr. Uma. I think see, Mr. Uma, I think I don't know whether it's your first time or not, but I generally take your questions during the webinar also. All right. So when you'll be here, you'll realize that question and answers are being taken care with apt patients, so don't you worry. And when we say that 90 minutes is more time to presentation, or we should have more time for question and answers, everything will be taken care of, so don't worry. And because I only end the webinar when once the questions are over. Okay, so don't worry about it. All right, so when we talk about research paper publication, this is one such query, this is one such hassle. Hassle, I would say. Why? Because generally what happen is that we know that we have written a paper, we have everything is in place, but we don't know where to publish it. These are the concerns primarily for the scholars, for the PhD scholars, for the research scholars, and also for the academician. This concerns remain the same, reason being that for our academic growth, in terms of career growth, in terms of points, in the ones who are teaching in the Indian scenario, they must be aware of the fact that you get certain points, you get your CV developed as in terms of number of the papers you have published. Okay, so all these papers which you have published, the articles which you have published, they generally count or adds on into your career growth. Okay, now coming on to the research paper. See, it is taking my attention back to the questions. See, Mr. Uma or Miss Kavita, don't you worry about the question and answers. If you have any questions, just type right in there. All right, so somebody is saying 90 minutes is sufficient, somebody is saying 60 minutes is sufficient. So because everybody has their different expectations with the webinar, so we need to take care of each and every one. All right, nevertheless, you feel free with your questions and go ahead with that, it will be taken care of. All right, now let me just give you a quick brief about a research paper. What is it? So when we talk about a research paper, basically we have a topic in our hand and we go into depth of that. When I say depth of that, the whatever topic you have chosen, whatever aspect of that topic you are being taken care of, when you explain it, that becomes your research paper. Okay, so any research paper which you are taking care of, you give your own interpretation, like what did you understand with the findings which you have presented, with the, even if you are going for systematic literature review, you need to give your own interpretation. So whatever, being a researcher, is your perspective towards the topic in hand, you need to present it into a research paper. All right, okay. Now, when you talk about a research paper, you have so many sources to take information from. Now, these days, especially post pandemic, visiting personal libraries or physical libraries has become slightly difficult. I'm sure that the world is getting back to the normal situations. However, at present time, our online sources has taken the majority of the place when it comes to collecting the data for our research papers. So nevertheless, we have articles, we have books whenever you are thinking of writing a research paper. Now whenever you're talking about a research paper, make sure that your your own interpretation can only be sustained or can only be presented when you have given the proper arguments, when you have given the proper analysis, when you have the given your proper arguments. And that can be done only when you have done thorough literature review, when your data is properly collected, and when your data is properly analyzed. Okay, so this was the brief about research paper, and what does it mean, all of you understand, and why it is required. It is also very clear to you, and that also we will taken care of, because everybody is at different level of their education, different level of their academic growth. So your requirements for this research paper gets changed. Okay, your requirement for publishing a research paper, for writing a research paper gets changed. Okay, all right. Now let me take ahead that what is a research paper, just extending that. So research paper, depending upon the topic of you have taken, it may summarize something about the current state of knowledge. For example, if somebody wishes to write about your COVID situation, or the impact of COVID in any industry, that is the current situation you need to talk about, right? That also can be called as a research paper. Or also you may club or you may summarize the research findings of the previous researches, and then give your own interpretation. That also can called as a research paper. Okay, so for your understanding, I've just have given a snapshot of a research paper. What does it call as? Also, one thing I would like to say, that it's not about that the explanation which I have given about a research paper, you may explain the research paper by that ways only. It's not like that. You may have different explanation given in literature previously. What is a research paper? So research paper basically is an elaborated term. All right, now question comes that why exactly we should write, or why we write research paper. Now, irrespective of your field, irrespective, no matter wherever you are studying or whatever your field of interest is, basically your research paper tells you to know better that what is happening there, right? Whatever is happening in your field. Why? Because when you choose a topic to learn, when you choose a topic to study, you get to read a lot about it, you get to understand a lot about it. Okay, you search for the previous papers, you search for the related articles, you search for the related information which is being published. So that ways what happen is your understanding about that topic gets deeper, you dwell deep into that topic. Okay, also it is very important for the growth of your career, because all those who are academician on this webinar platform, they understand it very well, that having a right number of, or I don't think so there is a specific number altogether, but having more and more papers published in reputed journals, on reputed, I am focusing a lot. Why? I'll tell you just in a couple of minutes. On reputed journals, it's very important, it's very important. Okay, just all right. Basically there was a technical glitch. So it's very important that you have the good number of papers presented in good journals. Okay, this is important for your professional growth if you are associated with academics. However, if I come to the scholars, the ones who are particularly pursuing their research in terms of PhD, for them, every university, they have their specific number of publications which a scholar needs to present, or specific number of conferences which a scholar needs to attend. So In another side, apart from understanding or apart from developing an understanding towards a particular topic, your career growth, your professional growth is also very much relied on the articles which you publish. Now of lately, a couple of years back, if I take you back, that when UGC listed out certain journals, or it made it mandatory to have your journal listed, published, your paper published in those UGC listed journals, lot of hustle bustle, a lot of things happened, that a lot of for fake journals came out, and people were paying hefty amount to get their paper published. Okay, so basically this webinar is actually important to guide you towards that. Now Mr. Prajita have asked that why it is important, to publish a paper. I just said so, Mr. Prajita, that for a scholar it is important because it is a requirement for your course completion, and for an academician why it is important, because it showcases that how much your interest is not only in the teaching, but also you are updating your skills because you are researching. Okay, so for a teacher, because I have come across on many platforms, and I have seen this discussion that how much research is important for teachers. And just a couple of days back I read an article that these days teachers are not getting time to research because of their workload and so on. So I'm not getting into that, what kind of workload they have. But the point is that research and teaching, they goes hand in hand. Although there is no any, in 1980s or 1990s there was a research which showed that there is exactly no correlation between a good researcher has to be a good teacher or vice versa or so. However, I can reduce I can actually deduce this thing from this, that your research acumen does improve your teaching quality. Okay, so that's why writing a research paper is very, very important. All right, now as I have told you that why to write a research paper, it has been summarized in front of you in times. Mr. Uma and Mr. Fokir, I understand that you have certain expectation with the webinar, but you need to respect the fact that many other students are here or many other academicians are here, and everybody has their own expectations from the webinar. So I request you all to be patient and to allow me to be, to be in my flow. I just can't straight away jump to the points, as Mr. Focus said, to directly to the points. There has to be some connection. All of you, I'm sure, are scholars or the teachers, so you know that there has to be connection in each and every point. All right. And how about the presentation time, or reducing it? So 90 minutes or so is the time, and that would be there. All right. Now, when we are talking about research paper and research paper publication, it's very important for us to know, first of all, that what kind of research papers are there. Because if you are planning for a research paper publication, it's very important for all of you to know to different kind of research paper, because I'm sure majority of us, I'm including me also, majority of the us many a times does not know what are the different kinds of research paper. Apart from review paper, we know that primarily. So first I would like to take your attention towards is your analytical research paper. Okay, your first is your analytical research paper. Now in this kind of research paper, you pose a question. Okay, you pose a question, you pose a research question, you have a research question, and then you collect the data so that you can answer that research question. Okay, data as in what other researchers have said about it. Okay, so primary focus on analytical research paper is on the findings and conclusion of other researchers. Let's say for example, some the topic is customer brand loyalty. Okay, and after sales services. So how after sales services impact a customer brand loyalty? So what analytical research paper on on this particular topic would focus on what other researchers have spoken about it in the past, and what were their findings and what were their conclusion, and then you interpret and get into your own interpretation and present it. Okay, now one thing to be taken care of is that you just cannot be what do you say, that negative or positive. You just can't, just be on the either side. You need to be a neutral one, and then you need to give your own interpretation. Coming back to another side, another type of paper, that is argumentative paper or persuasive research paper. So when we talk about this, so basically here we are talking about the either side of a topic. So what does one side represents, what does another, like we used to do in debates, in we used to have the in favor or in against type of. So what one side of the argument says, or what another side of argument says. Okay, the purpose of these kind of paper is to present the both the sides of perspectives to your reader. Like generally the language for such kind of paper is this, that although after sales service has a positive impact or it influence the customer brand loyalty, however there are certain researches which showcase that the actual quality standards of the product or the services also, or it creates a higher impact or much deals of influence on the customer brand loyalty than after sales service. So these kind of paper basically, it tells you the either side of the perspective which you have chosen. Okay, now here, how will you choose, how will you do that, how will you present the either side of the perspective? By representing the findings or the arguments of the researchers who have stated such things in such way, they have discussed the both the sides in the previous literature. So you support your interpretation with the help of the previously written literature. Okay, next set of research papers are, one is definition paper. So basically it about, its purpose is to give information about a particular fact or a particular event, but you don't analyze it, you just explain what has been said previously. Then comes compare and contrast paper. So compare and contrast paper, in this you compare different author. For example, if somebody is talking about motivation, so in motivation, if you choose to talk about what Maslow's theory said, and then what Herzberg's theory says, that on theory X and Y says that, or what are hygiene, so you basic hygiene factors or motivation factor theory, basically you compare different perspectives. Okay, now there is a one question from Mr. Rupali, do you mean like a review paper? So yes, exactly. See, when you say the review paper, so review paper is primarily based on the analyzing the or reviewing the previous literature. Okay, how you review the work done of the authors on the similar topic. So, Mr. Rahul, to your query, I'll be coming towards the end of this webinar. Okay. Now, let's move ahead to the next set of research paper, that is experimental research paper and survey research paper. So when you talk about experimental research paper, as the name suggests, basically it is a research paper which is being written on the basis of your experiments conducted. Okay, so here it has been experiment conducted, like how you have conducted different experiments. Like many of the academicians here would be from science, so they when they conduct certain experiments, like certain situations are in lab, certain situations are in controlled environment. So these kind of research papers are experimental research paper. Okay, then you have to conduct or explain your experiment with the help of the analysis which you are doing. Okay, then comes the survey research paper. So when you talk about survey research paper, in here you are basically taking the opinions of the respondents, that is your customers. Now these kind of papers are very important, or primarily they take much of your interest for the scholars or for the academicians or for the even for the corporate people, those who are associated with the marketing profile. Okay, let's say for example you are willing to understand for the interest or the likelihood of the inclination of particular set of customer towards a new product, then you may go ahead with it. Also survey questions are, if anybody who is interested in conduct it, even to know the opinions, to know the behavioral aspects, to know the perception of employees, survey research paper can be used. Okay, so these papers actually help you to get the insight of your customers, your employees, their perception, their opinions. Okay, all right. Now, allow me to move further. Now, coming to research paper publication. Now, where exactly you can publish your paper? So, you have books. Now, when you say that, when you talk about books, so there are, I'll just tell you how you can go ahead with it. In books, you may go ahead with certain chapters. If anybody is interested, they can go ahead with certain chapters, and chapter publication is also possible. Like if you have a certain theme which is aligned, which is theme of the book which is getting aligned with your interest. For example, as of now currently I'm writing on impact of COVID on teaching, blended teaching. So this is a chapter which I have submitted. The theme is this, COVID on teaching. So I have submitted for a particular book. In that, what happened is different authors, they submit their chapters. This is also a way to go ahead with your publication. Now when you talk about a chapter, uh, how lengthy it would be. So what happen is, generally if you are writing a research paper which is good of 10 to 12 pages, so for chapter also you write for 10 to 12 pages, so that may align with the book chapter requirement. However, the structuring of the book chapter is slightly different than your research paper, and how different it would be, how you need to submit the chapter, that the publisher will tell you, that you need to align your content, or you need to arrange the subheadings or the headings of your paper or your chapter accordingly. Then also you may go ahead with the journals, that you all know, that the publication, the corporate publication magazines, the normal magazines, the newspapers, and these days internet, like you can write for the blogs, you can go ahead with that. And there are various other digital platform also available, wherein you can submit your publications. Okay, so these are primarily the source of publications for a researcher. However, out of all these, I think journals and books, and topmost priority is given to journals. I think they take the most of the priority when it comes to your publication. Okay, all right. Now, coming to the journals, now I'll take journals one by one. All right. Now, first is your Scopus. See, basically, Scopus is Alzheimer's abstract and citation database, which is launched in 2004. Okay. Now, when it comes to okay, one question before I move ahead, I'll take by Miss Pooja. Her question is, what would be the structure of chapter? It is same as article or different? As you might have missed, Miss Pooja, that I just said that whenever it comes to writing a chapter for a book, or you're writing a research paper, I just said that the structuring of your chapter would be told by to you by the publisher. Okay. Generally it is not as same. I'm not saying the content would change, I'm saying the structuring of the paper would change when it comes to giving it as a face of a book chapter. So generally their alignment is not same. Okay. Now coming back to Scopus. So when we talk about Scopus, so basically, they have roughly around 36,377 titles. The numbers may vary. Now if somebody says that this is not the exact number, or say, let me clear it in advance that the number may vary, so please, you may go ahead with the latest one if you find any changes. So when it comes to Scopus as a database, they are dealing with the subject fields, variety of it. You talk about education, you talk about social sciences, you talk about physical sciences, management, health sciences, and so on. And also they have three types of sources. They have book series, they have journals, and they have trade journals. Okay. Now, when you talk about the journals which are covered in Scopus database, so basically they are really a high quality journals, and then they have also one thing I would like to bring into your notice, that Scopus, they have their updated list, which is available on their website, that which journal is listed in Scopus, from which year they got listed or they got indexed in Scopus, are they continued to know to still till date or not. All this information they give on their website in an Excel sheet. One question by Miss Kruti, that if I'm writing a review paper, then how can I writing without rejecting in reputed journals? See, Miss Kruti, basically every journal have its own requirement, have its own guidelines according to which you need to structure a particular paper. Okay. However, your question is same like Mr. Rahul Kumar Singh. So, but I will be discussing it by as and when we will be progressing with the webinar. I'll be dealing with it. Okay. Okay, one question from Mr. Methi. Kindly share cheap and best UGC Scopus Index Journal with more chance to acceptance with less. I mean, I think this is a question, Mr. Methi. Majority of the researchers, they want to answer cheap. I understand cheap. By cheap means you means that less expensive, and best UGC Scopus Index. See, when you say best, they are free of cost. The best of journals are free of cost. Now, more chance of acceptance and less time for publication, these are two ironical statement. You want faster publication, right? And when it comes to good journals, I'm sure majority of you agree me saying this, when it comes to come good journal and when they review your paper, they might can take to 3 to 6 months. So yes, exactly, you mean less expensive, but good journals, when they review your paper or anybody's paper, they may take 3 to 6 months. Okay. And when it comes to expense, to be very honest, I generally go for research journals which are free of cost. However, cost is something which none of us can control, right? Because in my observation, or it as per as my experience goes, if any journal is charging you a good hefty amount of publication, I would rather suggest you to go for a double check towards the authenticity of that journal. Just don't go blindly for, because I have seen many scholars, they pay hefty amount for their publication, and eventually the publication either don't get published or the journal is not good to go. So your question actually has two opposite end of points. Cheap also you want and the best also you want. So best generally don't charge a good amount, honestly speaking, or they don't even charge also. However, when it comes to publication, I'm sorry to say, but good journals, they generally take 3 to 6, even more than that time also. Okay. Mr. Uma, I belong to remote sensing field. How I can search free publication, fast decision of any website or any way? Google. See, Mr. Uma, I may not know much about a particular journals about remote sensing field because I'm from management. Okay, however, I can suggest you one thing, that whatever journal you choose, whatever journal you choose. So for every journal on their website, their publication time, their charges, if they have any, it is being mentioned. So if somebody claims that they are listed in Scopus, so kindly recheck and go on Scopus and find that journal's name. So just whenever you considering for any publication, just double check it. Just double check it. Okay. Um Okay, Mr. Mojid, thank you so much for telling me your easy name. What is the minimum or maximum number of journal to write systematic? What is the minimum or maximum number of journal? I couldn't get your question. If you can elaborate it further. May one publish his or one journal independently? Yes, you may go ahead. Of course, of course. Yes, are they free? Yes, Miss Talia, there are free cost, free journal as well, and but their review process is really tough, really difficult. Mr. Ande, it depends upon which field you are looking for. Okay, every field they have different journals of repute. Okay, all right. So coming back to the next one, the web of science, popularly known as web of knowledge, generally of WOS. Mr. Joydeep, when you get how to get fast publication with high acceptance rate, see, basically there are many journals you will get which offers you fast publication with a set price. Okay, with a set price, and even they will not send your paper for any kind of review. However, in such scenario, the quality of the journal can't be guaranteed, because the good journals, they take time. Okay, they take time. So fast publication, because I understand all of your queries, I think they revolves around the same question, that good journal, fast publication. None of you have said that, the what is the quality of the paper should be, because in today's time, if you are willing to write, and if you are writing on a topic, a good topic, right, it takes you 6 to 7 months. Honestly speaking, it takes you that much of time. Okay, and when it comes to review of the paper, good journal generally take, if not less than 3 months, they do take it, this much time they do take it. Okay. Miss Deepika, ma'am, I'm not a PhD, but now I want to publish review. Yes, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, Mr. Mujid, minimum or maximum number of articles you need to write a systematic review. You see, maximum you may go ahead as many, but minimum you need to have at least for systematic, of depending upon the topic. But 25 to 30 you need to go ahead with. Miss Deepika, how to select a good journal depends upon similar questions asked by somebody else. I told you, depends upon the field you are from, or in which you are willing to write the paper for, and then in whatever database or it is the journal claims that they are listed, kindly go back to the website of that database and check the credentials of that journal. Okay, Mr. Atul, I'll be coming on to this question in the following slides of this webinar. All right. Okay. All right. Now, Mr. Shafuddin, I think you will be getting your question in the slides which are being going on. Okay. So when you talk about the Web of Science, basically this is the website. They give you the access to multiple database. Okay, so you have the access to multiple database in which you can get the citations also, and different academic disciplines you may get along with. Basically it has been produced by Institute of Scientific Information, and it is currently maintained by Claritative Analytics, and it is providing the information or providing the databases on the six of the areas sciences, social sciences, or arts, humanities, and other contract proceedings or the related field. Okay. Now, point is that whether Scopus is good or Web of Sciences is good is basically both are good. Okay. Now, somebody asked me the question of SCI and Scopus. Basically, when you talk about SCI is primarily Shafiuddin, Mr. Shafiuddin. SCI is basically focusing on technical and scientific publication. Okay. Now, however, when you talk about Scopus, they are into management, social sciences at also. Okay. Now, when you say that SCI is better or Scopus is better, SCI, I would say, in my opinion, they are better in quality. Generally, is a better in quality. Okay. Now, see, if anybody is asking me about the rate or the prices of paper publication, I may not be able to comment on that, to be very honest, because I think I'm not the right person to comment on the prices of the journals. Because reason being, today's time they are so much fluctuating about their prices, and I have even seen that generally scholars they bargain also on their prices. So I think on price aspect I may not be the right person to comment on this. Okay. Kruti, there are a lot many journals which are free of cost or unpaid. Is it acceptance or journal based on concept of data? See, Mr. Uma, you need to elaborate your question. You're talking about acceptance in the journal or acceptance of the journal. When you talk about accepting the journal, so generally when you talk about accepting the journal, there are many many factors which are associated, which when you are dealing with accepting a journal, which we will be talking about. Okay. Now, when you talk about Web of Science, as I told you, they are basically dealing with certain number of fields which I told you. So somebody asked me which is H index. So H index primarily it is that highest number of publication of a scientist that have received more citations. Okay. So it is basically it is the citations of the paper. See, Mr. Dr. Padmakar sir, research article, research paper, basically there is, their majority have been used as synonymous. They are basically used as synonymous. Many authors they say the article, the many authors they papers research paper. However, the analysis part and research paper is of more in depth when it comes to article, as per my understanding. Okay. All right. Now coming back to the what we were doing is next is ESCI, so the Emerging Sources Citation Index, which was launched in 2015. So basically, it is to give you, or it is to tell you about the impact factor, like that also tells you that if the journal is indexed here, is that will this particular a citation index will be tell you that how much the journal is important, how much the journal is doing justice with the field in which it is being publishing the paper. Okay. All right. Now I'll be telling you more about Web of Sciences. So basically, when you submit your paper to Web of Sciences, so there are certain criterias on which your the journals will be evaluated, like peer review process, or they have ethical publication practices or not, technical requirements they meet or not, language they meet or not. Now before I move on to the actual topic of it, somebody asked me good and bad journal. Just make sure whenever you are choosing a journal, this is very very important aspect, that while reviewing the journal to be taken it as accepted one for the publication or not, the language plays a very important role. Like very rightly said by Mr. Safishuddin, that quality is more important, madam, but publication become a business. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. See, We are, as a researcher or as an academician also, we are forgetting, and we say that in a year I have published 4 papers or 5 papers or 6 paper at times, but they forget that in writing a good paper, if you are genuinely writing a good paper, you need 4 to 6 months. Okay, and if that paper you are aiming to get published in a good journal, that journal will take at least 3 to 6 months for its reviewing. Okay, so that means that how can you write 4 to 5 good quality paper if somebody is writing very good of that, very good of him or her, but quality paper, producing quality paper needs time. Okay. Now, Mr. Kabir, I have seen your question. What exactly distinguish a state of the art paper and a review paper? See, when you say that state of the art paper and a review paper, first of all, the state of art as an adjective cannot be given to a paper. Okay, if you're writing a review paper and if you are writing a research paper, so review paper, the quality of the review paper gets reflected that how much in depth you have developed the literature. Okay, so state of the art, in my opinion, is not the right adjective to be given to the research paper. All right, all right. Now, when you talk about journals, like many of the questions they have come for that, what kind of journals we should go for. So, you need to see that what all are the kind of articles they have been publishing. The when I say they have been publishing, when I mean to say that journals have been publishing, or what are the instructions they are giving to author, whether it is a peer review process. Now when I say peer review, somebody also have asked this question, that when I say peer review process, that means your paper is being given for the review by that journal article outside also. Okay, somebody else is also reviewing your paper, and they are also being given feedback of that. Ms. Shweta, if this is a question, then it is not the case. Review paper are not counted in the PhD. It's not necessarily, not like that. It's not like that. They may, yeah. Okay. Then once you are, very much sure that what is the peer review process, how much time the journal take, like many of you are asking, what are the fast time or the fast publishing journal. Then when you are selecting a journal, so every journal on their website they mention that what is the time they'll be taking or how much time they'll be taking in publishing the paper. I have seen many journals who promise to uh, publish the paper as early as 10 to 12 days, but just by seeing the 10 to 12 days does not means that your journal would be good enough. So please make sure that you go ahead all these factors which I have listed here, like what are the instruction, the citations, how many number citations, whether it is an open access or not, time for peer review and everything. Okay. Now when you talk about also the journal finder, then according to your requirements, like for example, you are in a hurry, you are a scholar. Let's say you are a scholar and you do not have much time to wait for 6 months. Okay, then in that case what will you do? You will basically look for the journals who have a faster process for publication. Okay. Now when you say that blind, it is Miss Kavita, it is double blind review, basically when the identity of the reviewer is being kept hidden. Okay, all right. Okay, then comings to the when it comes to the journal finder, the once the requirement of the journals which suits your requirements or your paper publication process, what all are your criteria it suits, you may go for the list of the journals. And also you can use journal selection tools such as Elsevier journal finder or Springer journal suggest, you may go ahead with that too. Then, for example, if you are choosing for Alzheimer, the pronunciation may differ. If somebody says that I'm pronouncing it wrong, so pronunciation may differ. So there are certain tips to choose for journal when you go for. So it's very important to go for the aims and the scope of the journal. It's very important for that. Okay. Do not forget to download the guidelines of the author. Why I'm saying so? Because somebody have asked also that, that my or paper gets rejected, or how to make sure that your paper get accepted. So for that, it's very very important to see and follow the kind of guidelines which are being offered or which are being stated by the journal for the author. Whether you have followed them or not, you need to make sure. Okay. Also, you need to make sure that you submit one paper at one journal at one time, because this is one of the very commonly asked questions that can be submitted, but it is ethically incorrect that if you submit one paper couple of places. Okay. So please, uh, you may go ahead with the finalizing the requirement. Miss Anu, I'm just focusing on your question only, right? Point in point. All right. Now, there are a couple of terms which you need to know when you are talking about or when you are finalizing about journal. Okay. So, first is journal matrix. So, basically, when you talk about the impact factor, so impact factor and journal matrix, there are a couple of things in journal matrix. And impact factor basically tells you that how many number of times on an average the paper is cited. Okay. And how, like, cited is how many people have used the information or the content of that paper. Okay. And it is very important to have the high number of high impact factor for a journal. It is suggestive basically to go for a journal with high impact factor. Okay. Then open access. Now this is very very important aspect, becoming very very important aspect in selecting a journal. Open access basically, it is if, let's say for example, if I want to access an article published in a journal, so that journal will not charge me anything. It is openly available without, because many a times you must have seen that only the abstract is there, the full article is not there. Okay. But the point is that open access journals, they do not charge anything, and their content which is being published in them, it is widely and openly available for all the readers. Okay. So they do not require any amount to be paid by the reader. Okay. So that is open access, is very clear. In fact, like for example, Sage Open. So generally if you go for articles from published in Sage, so they charge. But in Sage Open, as the name suggests, they do not have any charges or any hidden charges associated for the readers to go ahead and to get access of the content published on the journal. Okay. Now next is hybrid journal. You need to know about it. Like, hybrid journal is that journal that publish open articles together with the article that requires subscription. So hybrid means they have articles which are openly, which can be openly accessed by you as a reader, and there are articles which needs you to pay certain amount. So both the kinds of articles they sub. Okay. So basically, these are the kind of journals which requires you to take subscription for some of the articles, and some are freely available. Okay. So these are hybrid journals. Now, very, very important aspect in current times for all of you, that how to look forward and to identify that predatory journals. See, I as a researcher or I as academician, I already tells not to everybody, not to the students also, but also we as a colleague, we discuss amongst each other that quality of a paper is very important. Quality of your research papers is very important. No matter that if you are only publishing one or two paper in a year, that's good to go, rather than publishing 20 bad or poorly written paper than to write two good papers in a year. So quality definitely is very important than the quantity. And if somebody thinks that I have written 20 papers in a year, and you have written only 3 and 4, it is important that where your where your articles are published, what are their citations, and what are the qualities. Okay, if you have written 20 papers, so it is automatically understood that each paper, if you need 3 to 6 months to write, how can you write 20 in a year? So quality is very, very important. Okay, now let's talk about predatory journals. Now, predatory journals is a term which I'm sure need not require any introduction, at least in today's time, for all the authors. Okay, why? Because in an quest in a quest to publish more and more paper, in a quest to get maximum number of publications, like all of your questions I have seen here, that how can we go for a fast publication with less cost and so on. I am sure it's very, very easy these days for all these scholars and academicians like us to fall into this trap of predatory journals. Now, what are predatory journals? Basically, you can easily say that these are the journals which are the fake one, or they claim to have a high quality, or they claim to have a good journals, but they are not. So, how to identify that one particular journal is a predatory one? It's very important for all of you to know that. See, many of the journals, okay, which we are saying that they are predatory, firstly, they are open access. Now, if they are open access, like as we have understood that open access does not require any subscription, um, with the with the reader, they need not to pay anything to the journal. But these predatory journals, they ask you to pay a fees. That is one of the way to identify that this is a predatory journal. Okay, second is, quality is of substantial concern. Now, when it comes to quality, now how you can recognize that this journal's quality is bad? By the language of it, no peer review, or if there is editing, very poor editing. Okay, also they follow some unethical business practices, like false claim, or they claim to they are indexed into Scopus. Now, one thing I would like to say, it's very important. For example, many journals I personally have seen that they claim to be Scopus indexed. Now, how can we check this claim is right or not? I personally have checked this thing, that the journals which claim to be Scopus indexed or listed in Scopus, let's say they were listed from the year 2018 and they discontinued in 2019. Okay, for a year they were indexed in Scopus or listed in Scopus, but after that they continue to keep claiming Scopus index. However, if you check their names on Scopus website, the latest one, you may not find one. This is also one of the sign of the predatory journals, that once they have got that listing on Scopus, they continue to use that one. Okay, so make sure that you check their impact factor, their claims of indexing, the language of the previously published articles. And one more thing also, how you can check the quality of the journals by checking the associations, or by checking the what do you say that the editors, if they have listed any editor, or they have listed their team, the associations of the editors, by that also you can check that what would be the quality of that journal. Okay, all right, now let's move ahead. Now, where not to publish your research, this is also very important, because see what happened is, in today's time we do not hesitate in spending money and to get a fast result on our publication. So we do not hesitate money, okay fine, you take the money but you publish my paper. So if you want to identify the journal, if it's predatory or not, there are a couple of websites mentioned for you. Please go for it, and just get in touch with the colleagues who are seniors, or if you are a PhD scholar, your supervisor. Okay, so basically check that how your publication is not getting wasted. Okay, all right, now the answer to one of the question is that what is the publication process. Just brief about it. This is one. Now first is, obviously, you need to work on your research. That goes without saying that you need to complete your research. Then comes that you need to prepare the manuscript. Now when I say manuscript, every journal, now this is the step where you need to be careful. Now when I say careful, by saying that you need to follow the guidelines of the journals, because every journal, they have their own specific guidelines, that what is the way you need to structure your paper or your manuscript, which needs to be sent to that journal. Okay, so you need to be very careful that how uh, the structural guidelines have been given by, or be mentioned by that journal. Okay, so it is very very important that those guidelines are being carefully followed. Okay, is being carefully followed. You need to make sure that if they have mentioned any specific way to name the figures or give the number to the figures, please make sure you follow. Once your manuscript is, I'm saying manuscript is that version of paper which you are preparing to submit to the journal, that structural document is called as manuscript. Okay, now once it is done, the guidelines of the journal is followed, you submit the paper to the journal or the conference, wherever. Every conference also have their own guidelines. Then what happen is, depending upon the review process of the journal, it gets on board for the review. Okay, like the editor of the journal or the team of the journal will send it to the different paper to get it reviewed and so on. Okay, then whatever feedback comes, like some reviewer thinks though that the language needs to be improved, some reviewer think that the justification for sample size chosen needs to be given, and so on, depending upon the research acumen of each research reviewer, the feedback are being given. Then those feedback are being incorporated by the author. Okay, so first I wrote the paper, I prepared the manuscript according to the journal guidelines. I sent the paper to the journal for the review. Now that time will take considerable times. It can reach up to 4 to 6 weeks. The feedback, if there is any comment, will be given to me. I'll rework on those feedback. I'll insert those comments, and then I'll again submit my paper, and then the decision will be taken that whether there is any revision needs to be further made, or the paper is accepted like that or not, or the paper is rejected. So if the paper is rejected, you can't do anything. If the paper is accepted, then it is on the call for the final publication. Okay. Now basically, this review process and the time which is given to you, every journal gives you a particular topic or particular timeline in which you need to submit the paper back. That takes time. Generally this is the time. Okay, one question I'll take: if the paper is rejected after peer review, can we do new submission to the same journal after correcting their comments? See, if the paper is completely rejected, basically there are two things: whether the peer reviewed has, or the whether the reviewer had given the feedback, in which if certain comments are being given to you, and on once these comments are answered, your paper is accepted. This is one scenario. Okay. Now if the journal has completely rejected your paper, okay, now yes, then after that, or you can change the, or you can restructure the paper, and then new submissions can be done. But in that time, you need to incorporate certain changes which, which after which the journal does not reject the paper further on. If this rejection is happening, it is mainly either your plagiarism is too high, or data is not good enough, or your findings are not matching with the journal requirements. So the rejection platforms are way too big, so that your structural aspect or the contextual aspect of the paper generally gets changed. Okay. All right. Now there is one thing from Dr. Srinivas sir. Madam, what is the credibility of edited books? Calling chapter on theme or sub theme to any validity? Yes, doctor sir. Basically, if your book is having ISBN number, so definitely, and the book is having credibility for the publication. However, please go ahead with checking the publisher of the book, who is going for the publishing, who is the publisher of this book, and what are the past track record of this publisher. Okay. Miss Amita, I have given this differences. Okay. And okay, what is acceptance rate after rejection of paper when submitted to the, see, as I just answered this question, that when your paper is getting rejected for this particular particular journal, that rejection reasoning is either they are, your paper is not matching with the theme of the journal, or the quality is not good enough to the submission of the journal. So if the rejection is this on this ground, definitely you can expect that your paper needs to undergo a major changes. So after that, if all things are sorted, your paper may get accepted. But I think there are a couple of journals which gives you certain timeline, that after which only you can go for the resubmission. Okay. Somebody asked me this SCI expanded and XCI journals. So basically, when you talk about SCI, so they are the SCI journals are the multidisciplinary citation index, basically. Okay. And when you talk about the XCI expanded one, they are primarily on the operational research and so on. Okay. Okay. Now, moving on, the publication process when you are going for a research paper. So as I told you, when you submit a paper, you get a tracking number. You can see that at what stage your paper is. Your, the editor is being assigned to the manuscript. Then the review process gets on board, that if, if the editor think that if there is no review process, I mean review process as in if the editor think that there is no review required for the paper, that the decision will be communicated to you. They will tell you that your paper is accepted or so, or rejected or so. Can happen dual ways. And if there is a reviewer assigned to it, then I told you that the paper would be sent to the reviewer, and then they will give the comments on it. Okay. Then the report has been given, and then whatever the decision is, if the decision is on extreme corner, that is rejected, nothing can be done. If the reviewer thinks that there are certain comments which can be incorporated by the author, then the same is being communicated by the editor to the author, and the time is being given to them, that during this time you need to make sure that you incorporate the comments and submit it back to the journal. Okay, now coming back to peer review, somebody asked it, what is peer review? And I told you as well that what is exactly peer review. Just don't get panic by the quality of the slide, because it will be given to you. Before that, I'll just take couple of questions. Mr. Uma, there are basically no tips for fast publication of review paper, because review is how much time a reviewer will take is not in the hands of an author. Okay, because every journal they give time to the reviewer, that during this stipulated time you need to send your review back. Okay, and every reviewer, obviously, if he or she is a reviewer, that then journal also understand that they are associated with some or the other academic institution, they must be busy. So generally a 4 weeks times is what the minimum journals give, they give to the reviewer. So fast publication tips can't be given, or rather you can choose the journals which publish your paper fastly. Please take care of the predatory journals in this. Okay, are the journals good who charge 5,000 to 1,000 rupees for publication charges? Yeah, see, Mr. Tiwari or every other person, we can't bind the charge, that if somebody is charging 600 rupees they are good journals. We can't say like that, because if because I've seen there are journals which charges 3,000 something something, and they are good journals to go for. So I really can't comment on, but yes, if the charges are low, then you can be rest assured, not rest assured, you can say that okay, fine, quality must be okay, good enough, right? Can I select dissertation title from the existing journals? The title you can choose, but need not to be the same one. They should not be the same one. Okay. Now, what is the best way to refer a newspaper? See, now you can refer a newspaper if it's an authenticated one. Definitely, when you cite your citation, so there is the newspaper in an article or other sources. You can cite it. Okay, so because for every article which you take from newspaper, there is author mentioned, newspaper name mentioned, date of publication mentioned. By citing all this, you can go ahead with it. Okay, all right. Now go for the peer review process, a blind one, wherein the author identification is not being revealed. Okay, or signed one, wherein the reviewer they sign their comments, and when the author is receiving their comments, they know who is the reviewer. Okay, collaborative one is when the reviewer they collaborate and submit their joint comments, or with the editor during the review process, so they both are collaboratively giving the comments. Portable ones, then the reviewer are sought by an organization or journal, and then they share with any journal require them later on. Like for example, if somebody is working for a journal right now, they are working for an organization also, then for some time when required, they can again come back to the journal and work as a reviewer. Okay, now for example, for majority of you, for blind peer review is the one which is of most concern. Okay, for most concern. Now, one question is that UGC care listed, definitely it gets updated time to time with the what will happen with the published paper if after some time the publication out. I mean, see, this is the question with the Scopus listed journal also. This you can't do anything. If today you publish a paper in the UGC care listed journal and tomorrow it is not in the list, nobody can do anything. Nobody can do anything. Okay. Now, preparation of a research paper for publication. When you are sending a paper for the research publication, what you are expected to do? Firstly, when you are talking about introduction, make sure, see, it's not always about fast publication, low charges for publication, acceptance or rejection, because it's acceptance and rejection or peer review comments are primarily decided by the content of the paper. And sorry to say, but majority of us, we do not focus on our content. We generally get trapped into that, what will be the time for publication, what will be the money for publication. Rather, our attention should be on that, what is the content of paper. Okay, so in introduction, as I have told you, like majority of you who have attended the previous webinar, that what to be included in the introduction, that the brief about your topic, your overall structure of your paper, so that your reader gets interested in what you have written. It's very important. And when you submit a paper for a review, definitely your introduction is the first thing, because first you give the abstract, then on the basis of the abstract they call for your paper. So first thing which comes into the attention of a reviewer is your introduction. So that should be very carefully written. Okay, then establishing the research problem, it's very important, because every research paper revolves around a research problem. So that research problem should be very carefully explained. Why I'm telling you? Because research paper, when submitted for the review, the reviewer primarily look for certain aspects: research methodology, in that what is the research problem, how well defined is the research problem done by the review author. Okay, then comes your research objective. Now see, it's very very important that your research objective should be clearly stipulated. Now, when I say clearly stipulated, means there should be no confusion. And please avoid writing too many of research objectives. Like I've seen papers like 5, 7, 8 research objectives. There is no point. There is no point in writing so many of research objectives and too many of hypotheses. Okay, before I go ahead, let me take off the questions. Hi, ma'am. I have published the 2 papers of mine in UGC Care journals, but I feel the quality of the paper is not much good. Will it give any sort of trouble if we present as such? In see, when you talk about, if you yourself feel that the quality of the paper is not good, generally, if you go into the interview, they might can ask you what was the paper about. What, there will be no trouble actually, because you say that you have already listed in, you have already published into UGC Care journals. They might can ask you that, tell us about your paper and so on. Miss Mishra, that are the print only journals having a UGC Care list authentic? Can we publish our article there? Yes, you may go ahead with that. And thank you so much for appreciating, all those who are appreciating. Why Gulf is back on Scopus by leaving higher standard? Like now, this is the question which, no, which I think I am not a right person to comment on it, Mr. Shafiuddin. I would not be able to comment on this. Is why, they are primarily looking for Scopus. However, it's not like that. They also look for web of sciences and so on. But I would not be the right person to comment on this, at least. Okay, now please pay attention, please pay, and please spend good time on the method section. Please pay very good time on method section. It's very very important to have very well elaborated research methodology. Okay, your ethics should be followed, statistical analysis should be properly done, your research methodology should be clearly discussed, because majority of the paper what I have seen, they get accepted or rejected on how well the research methodology has been written. Okay, don't just go for the literature aspect of a particular research method if your paper is quantitative nature, for example, I'm saying. Okay, just go and go for what is this, rather focus on that how particular method is applied and why it is applicable in your paper. Okay, rather go for the logical explanation than the theoretical explanation, because this is one such aspect where your paper get accepted or rejected. Okay, now, what to add in method and acknowledgement section? So should be precise. It should be precise. Okay, interpretation, implication should be clearly done. Okay, and when it comes to acknowledgement, please don't write speeches. Don't do that. Okay. However, the contributors who have done immense contribution in your paper, don't forget to name them. Now, when it comes to research results section, your tables, your figures should be elaborated, because once the reviewer have understood your research methodology, this has to be reflected in your results section. So that, for example, if you have applied correlation regression, so that explanation of the results should be eh, given in your results, like what are your findings and what are your reports on data collection, your sample size, your sample characteristics, and so on. It should be clearly discussed in results sections. Okay, then comes your dissertation discussion section. Now, discussion section reviewer, they pay special attention, because with this they want to understand that whether the author understands that what exactly his or her paper means or not. With the explanation you give in your discussion section, you actually allow the reviewer to dwell deep into your understanding, that how well you understand your topic and how well you can discuss it, so that others can get to know your study. Okay, Mr. Ravi, I have already answered this, and there are a couple of journals which are print only, and then you may go ahead with it. Don't worry. Now, key findings. Whatever your key findings are, you need to highlight them. See, because eventually you are working for a research paper, and that has to be clearly discussed. So it depends upon you how well you discussed your findings, and the language which has been opted in the findings section, they are very well noticed by the reviewer, and then they see that how well you have discussed the findings in your paper. Okay. Okay, then comes your conclusion. Conclusion should also be written as very nicely chosen words, because I always believe that it's a last impression of your paper. Whenever you are writing a research paper, your conclusion makes a very well deep impact on the reviewer while reviewing your paper. Okay. Now, Ms. Mujid has asked that on experimental science paper, is it proper to take all your tables, or leave as figure in your paper? See, Mr. Mujid, if in your experiment, your data is majority expressed in tables, so it's important to include the tables in the appendices. Depends upon how much your tables and figures they have the importance in your paper. Okay. Now, abstract. Why I have taken this abstract point in your this webinar? Because when you think about paper submission to a journal, this is one first step which you need to take, which you need to follow before submitting your paper, actual manuscript to the journal. They call for your abstract to be submitted to them. Okay, so what you need to do in that, what you need to write in that: introduction, methods, result, discussion. That's it. Also, there are certain journals which gives you a specific structural alignment, like how you need to present your abstract. They ask you to write separately a paragraph on introduction, 2 or 3 lines on background, 2 or 3 lines of research methods. So they want separate subsection in the abstract. If that structure is required, write in that way. If not, write in this way, because your abstract then decides you to whether your manuscript will go for publication or not. Okay, Miss Gauri, do we need to send data for publication in UGC? No, see, what you mean to say, what the data you have collected? No journal will ask you the data which you have collected. Okay, they will not ask you that give us the responses of the sample. No, they will not ask you. Okay, now editing. See, it is very, very important to, before you submit your paper to the journal for the publication, make sure your spellings, your grammar, the words which you have chosen, they are widely chosen. Why I'm saying so? Because believe me or not, maybe you must be a very good researcher, but when it comes to writing a paper, many people they do blunders. Many people they do blunders. I've seen that language is many a times is an aspect which gets compromised on. So please, editing needs to be taken care of very well. Also, plagiarism. Why plagiarism? Because plagiarism is one such aspect on which, even before your paper went for reviewer, peer review, it can get completely rejected if the plagiarism is high. Now, all of you must be knowing that plagiarism, what is plagiarism? When you copy somebody else's content with without the consent of that individual or without citing that name of that author. Okay, all right. So basically it's very, very important that you need to make sure that whatever content you use from anybody's previously published work, so you please cite the name of the author. Okay, now if you are copying the content but citing the source, definitely it's plagiarism. You need to change the language. Even if you're copying your own content, that's also, it's a plagiarism. Self plagiarism is called as, you need to give your own citations in that. Even if you substitute couple of works, that also will be called as plagiarism. You need to do paraphrasing or rephrasing for that. All right, then important aspect which needs to be taken care of before you submit the journal for manuscript to the journal publication, that is proofreading. Now basically proofreading gives a final touch to your paper. Like for example, whether the content or the subheading or the heading of the paper is rightly, placed rightly or not, whether the phrases or the struck paragraphs are being rightly written or not, whether there is a connection between each paragraphs or not, some spellings are misspelled or not. So proofreading basically gives a head to toe touch to your paper, that everything is into line before the paper is being submitted to the journal. Okay, so this aspect needs to be taken care of very well. Okay, all right. Now, getting reviews for the work. So, as I told you that once you submit your paper for journal submission, you will get reviews. Now, different research acumen are there with each of the research reviewers. So, you may get all the comments from them, collect all these feedbacks. Also, I would suggest one thing, that once you decide to submit your paper to a journal submission, if you are a PhD scholar, I would appreciate that if you can get in touch with your supervisor, please take his or her comments as well before the final submission to the journal. Okay, then once everything is done, please set your publication journey, find the journals, or if you have already done that, arrange the data, submission guidelines follow, then follow then, and then get ready for the submission. Now when you are preparing yourself for the submission, there is one letter which needs to be sent, that is your cover letter. Okay, so you just don't write a mail to the editor, and dear sir and so and so, I'm sending this paper and not, no. You need to send a cover letter with that paper. In that cover letter, what you write is that the title of your paper, okay, and what is the objective of your paper, what are the findings of your paper. Basically, you are talking about the importance of your paper, okay, and how the paper is aligned with the theme of the journal. So all, like the way we write the cover letter when we send our resumes to any employer, similarly we need to send a cover letter to the editor as well when we are thinking for a journal submission. Okay. Okay, then formatting is one important aspect which scholar, I'm sorry to say, they generally forget. That line spacing should be there, the border left and right alignment should be there, page number should be there, and where the page number should be located, in the center or the left right corner or the right corner, and in annexures what all information you need to put, how the tables would be numbered, how the citation should be done, everything. So this is your formatting, and these guidelines have been given to you by the journal in their guidelines to authors. Okay. Now, very important question, that why journals actually reject the manuscript. I think there are a couple of reasons. Amongst most of the them I have listed down. If the title is not clear, language is not appropriate, the theme of the paper is not getting aligned with the journal, the data is not properly collected, the research value is not that much, or supporting evidences are not there. I mean, in your opinion, you think that I have given enough data, but the reviewer saying there is no proper explanation. All these reasons can contribute towards the rejection of your manuscript from the journal. And even the language part can contribute towards the rejection of your paper. Definitely, trust me, your language, the poorly written paper can also be rejected in one go by the journal. Okay. All right, so there are certain ethics also which you need to follow. See, do not forget to avoid plagiarism. Okay, don't go for any informed consent from the respondents. Don't try not to submit multiple sources at one point in time. Okay, and there should be no conflict of any interest on religious basis, race basis, ethnicity basis, and so on. Okay, don't use any data for which you have not taken the permission for. Definitely do not do that. All right. Okay. Now, simultaneously submission, this is one such question which I think majority of the authors they ask. So when you are planning for submission to a particular journal and you think that it will take time and let's go for another journal also, at that point in time you are making a duplicate submission, and this is considered as to be unethical, that at one point in time you are submitting to one journal and simultaneously you are submitting to another journal also. Now, when you get rejections, how to handle them? Make sure that whatever changes have been submitted to you, have been conveyed to you, make the changes and resubmit it. Okay. Or if you do not want it to same journal, submit it to some other journal also. You want it to the same journal, add the content, make changes, and then submit it. Okay. All right. Now, this was from all from our side. Now we are open for the question and answers as well. Okay. Formatting is not same for all the journals. That's what I said, that every journal has their own guidelines, so you need to follow that. Okay. Thank you so much. How to identify the author of a paper? What we need to cite as if it is a whole journal. No, the name of the author, the title of the paper, the journal name, and the year in which the paper has been submitted. Okay. Can I use data from one journal for publish another journal? No. No. It is called plagiarism. Completely plagiarism. Thank you so much, Ms. Mujib. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. If it's not a waste of time for you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Mishila, I joined few months ago. Till now, I am do not choose my topic and still I'm converted. I joined previous section as well. I want to do. Please help me. Okay. See, choosing a topic for your research, I think you need to sit back with your supervisor, because the supervisor and your consent or your both interests is very important when it comes to finalize a topic. If I understand that you are a PhD scholar. For checking plagiarism, there are a couple of softwares available. Ms. Pratisha, Grammarly is there, Turnitin is there. See, Ms. Kruti, just telling the journal names, paid and unpaid, basically there are depends upon which kind of field you would like to go for this journals for. Okay, Miss Anu, how difficult it is for a beginner if there is no affiliation when publish your paper? No, no difficulty. If your paper is of good quality, it will get published. Do we need to include all references from the original research for the manuscript? Of course, yes. If you have if you have taken the content in your manuscript, you need to cite it. What should be considered as a major difference between research? We have conducted research paper basically is on analytical side, on the data side. Review papers talks about the previously published literature. Thank you so much, Mr. Santosh. If your paper is rejected by one of the journal, we may submit the same in another journal. Yes, you may go ahead. If the journal has given you some major changes, please go through those changes. If you think that these changes can improve the quality of your paper, please incorporate that. See, Mr. Krishna, list of free Scopus journal can only be told to you when I know that, when you are, which particular field you are, and there are a couple of available. I just told you that how to avoid yourself or how to prevent yourself to go for a predatory journal. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Jose. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Joydeep. Thank you so much. Okay, Ms. Unita, thank you. Thank you so much. It's been asked that, but we can submit a paper if we don't affiliate with any. See, if you are a student, you may submit. See, affiliation does not mean that you need to be working as a paper. Being a student, also, you can submit a paper. See, Mr. Doraswamy, paid journal ask for a publication fees and free journal do not ask for a publication fees. Okay. How to check my paper in Google Scholar after publication, because I'm not. For that, you need to go for Google Scholar and you need to put in your ORCID. For that, first of all, you need to have a Google Scholar account in which you can fill in your details, and then all your publications will be reflecting in that. How much plagiarism is allowed? That depends upon what the journal requirements. The journal may be 2, 3, 4, 5%. That is being stipulated by the journal itself. Thank you so much, Abdullah. Thank you so much, Mishilpa. Thank you so much, everybody. Mr. Bikash, see, index journal list for architecture, basically you will have to check, because there are various field. I may not be aware about the index journal for fields like engineering or architecture. I can tell you how to spot the fake and that journal, but the list of index journal you have to go for it. Okay. Tools for writing a paper, Mr. Pawan. Basically, mm, tools, you have to write the paper on your own. However, there are tools which can help you for formatting, editing, and plagiarism avoiding, or data analysis also. How to submit a research paper, I told you. You can please go ahead with the recording. If you have missed that part of this webinar, it's there included in the webinar today. Thank you so much, Suji. Thank you. While we focus on quality of a paper, how do we make it more interesting for readers to? By focusing on the examples. By focusing on the examples, a researcher, or by focusing on the language, sorry, by focusing on the language, the connecting story like flow of a paper makes it readable for the readers. And also, it depends upon that what kind of paper you are writing. Not every paper can be too can fit into story like narration. If your paper is too technical, you just can't do much with the language. However, language plays a very important role. Sriram, if some paper is rejected, can I submit the same? Yes, 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 you can. You will get your paper, presentation, PPTs, certificate, everything. Thank you so much, Mr. Patil. When talking about particularly in article research, we can use other researchers' point of view. Yes, 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 yes. But you have to give your own interpretation as well. Yes, the slides will be shared. Definitely. Definitely research graduate can help you, Mr. Mujit. Definitely. Thank you, Mr. Joe. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ms. Ria. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Definitely, PPT will be given to you. Mr. Kure, can I work on my master thesis and have it published as an article? Yes, yes, you can publish, you can take out the article from your thesis. Definitely, you can. High impact journal factor, when you go to the website of the journals, and the impact factor will be mentioned there. Thank you, Mr. Kadian. Thank you so much. Yes, 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 yes. Alzheimer is a database. What is required plagiarism percentage for submission of any journal? Every journal they give you the every journal requirement for plagiarism is there. Generally, don't aim for high plagiarism. I would suggest that 2 to 3% is okay, but above 5% is something which journals do not look for. Which type of research paper? Quantitative paper, you can say that, but however, good quality paper also get high chances of publishing, Miss Pooja. Depends upon which journals you are taking, which journals you are considering, and what kind of paper those journals consider for publication. PPT will be given to you. PPT will be given to you, definitely. Definitely, definitely. See, Mr. Durrani, generally, depends upon, let's say, for example, you are doing qualitative analysis, you can go for en vivo. Many people are going for, their structure equation modeling, they're also going for SPSS, they are going for. Depends upon what kind of data you have. What kind of data you have. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. But I did not receive any. Wait for it. Wait for it, Miss Pooja. Wait for it. No, you can. If the time has been too much, you can write to them, asking about the whereabout your paper. But if not much, then definitely you can wait for some more time. Somebody asked for the latex. Basically, it is about. How you need to present your technical and scientific documentation. It is to be used that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, it will be your PPT, your recordings, everything will be given to you. Everything will be given to you. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you so much. And we look forward for you to attend the further series of webinars as well. There are many, Mr. Bhatia, there are many softwares for checking plagiarism. In fact, all these softwares we have mentioned about in the webinar we have conducted on plagiarism. Turnitin, you have Grammarly, you have you have many other. Is Liver's Scopus journal? Basically, Scopus is a Liver's abstract and citation database. Scopus is, it is a database launched by Zyver. Yes, Mr. Meghani, research graduate can help you do that. Can help you do that. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. It's my pleasure and it's my honor to interact with all of you. Highly intellectual, scholars, academician. Miss Pooja, if you're not getting any revert, and if the time is already been 4 to 5 months, then you may consider to shift it to some other. Yeah. SCI is, in my opinion, is better than Scopus, Ms. Kalindi, in terms of when it comes to science publications. Yeah, I have answered. Scopus is Alzheimer's, launched by Alzheimer's. It is a database. Can we use already published research paper? For what, Ms. Ankita? For what? For citing? Yes, you may. Yes, you may. I told Ms. Kalindi your question is answered. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. See, when you talk about Scopus, Miss Kalindi, they handle research, independent field like science, technology, and when you talk about SCI, they primarily focus on technical and scientific publications. Miss Pooja, I would not say that review paper will be considered good. Will only be considered good. I would not say that. Yeah. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you so much. Academic credits depends upon what topic you have in your PhD research. How many research article? I think this question needs to be asked by the university, that what is the requirement for each university for them to have their research scholars to ask the to publish the papers. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Menley actually helps you to consolidate your references while writing the review. When it comes to science and technical paper, Miss Kalindi. Yeah, it's my pleasure if you follow me on LinkedIn, Miss Jiva, Mr. Jiva. It's my pleasure. Thank you for asking. SM, I would not suggest that don't that publish in non-related journals. I would suggest not to go for that. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. And I wish you all the very, very best, and look forward to meet all of you in the coming series of webinars. And your PPTs, your recordings, and your slides will be given to you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Desh. Thank you so much. Thank you. See, this is print only when they have the hard copy, and online, as the name itself is suggesting, that many journals are these days are going online also. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You may find me by the name, my name only, Mr. Jiva. Thank you so much, everyone. And let's meet again in the forthcoming series of webinars, about which you will all be communicated on your registered email. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much.